All right, hey everyone, I'm here with Hunter Broughton today. So let's just start from the top. What initially got you into this in the first place?
Growing up, I was a wrestler for a long period of time. I had done Big Sky State Games, which is a local and statewide pretty much competition of all kinds of sports for people all shapes and sizes. And I got kind of tired of wrestling the same kids every single year. And so I looked through the list and my mom suggested that I try arm wrestling. So I showed up and it was quite a good time. It was a lot of fun, really meshed well with the group initially. Showed up, won my first tournament after a few pointers from Tom Vieira, and then he invited me to come to practices, and that's where I met all of the guys that, for the most part, still come around and still watch or compete. Kind of been a journey.
Absolutely, yeah. I think in our club, the only person who's been around longer is Jim, yeah?
Yeah, I would say, I think Chuck and I maybe Chuck.
Well, I guess technically Tom too.
Tom, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom definitely has been around for quite a while.
Outside of arm wrestling, what do you do for a living?
I sell parts wholesale, retail. I work at a Ford dealership. It's a good gig. It's a good gig. Allows me to be a little more social and, get out there and, you know, make friends with people all over the place. So it's pretty
Yeah,
enjoyable.
would you say it's a job that makes it easy for you to live the lifestyle, or does it kind of hinder the lifestyle a little bit, and you have to work around it? How does that all work for you?
So there's a little give and take. At my job, I am in a salaried position, which means it's a little more leniency on time off. At the same time, I'm only allotted a certain amount of time off. That being said, I work a little bit longer days than, normal, a normal 9 to 5. It's a little bit longer, so it makes it a little bit more challenging to get my morale up to get into the gym, but that's why I have equipment at home. Kind of helps keep me training. My work has been phenomenal. They have sponsored me to travel and compete before, so that has been amazing. I definitely enjoy what I do, and I don't see it really being a hindrance to what I do overall.
And do you do most of your training primarily at home or in the gym?
Most of the time, my training is done at home. Arm wrestling specific, I should say. Arm wrestling specific training I do at home. In the gym, it's just your average run of the mill lifting weights. So a little bit different on the approach.
And for the people who don't know, what would you say your primary style of arm wrestling is?
I used to be known as primarily I used to be known as a top. I have been transitioning into more of a hook puller recently, which, I've found a lot more strength in there that I didn't think I had or didn't know that I had. And I would say it's
Absolutely.
thanks to people like you in the group and people like Dalton Waller, these bigger guys that are forcing me inside. And, it's different. I enjoy it. There's definitely a lot more strain on you than
Yeah.
when you're top rolling, I would say. But I enjoy it. And I like being
The
able to get
recovery is
in there
very
and mix it
different.
up. Yeah. I like to mix it up with the bigger guys for sure in the hook. It's fun.
And right now, training wise, what do you feel like is translating most to your performance?
I would say heavy static bicep works. Bicep lock with pronation engage or without pronation engage. Um, I'm definitely digging the one arm super heavy fat grip curls and
Oh
just
yeah.
sit there locked in, builds up a really good lock. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear you say that because I feel like more and more people are coming around to, I feel like for the longest time, everyone used to say, biceps are useless, don't train biceps, don't do curls. And this is the conversation I've had with Clifton Erickson many times. And, we're both of the mindset that, that bicep work matters.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely it does. I mean, and you got to think, you got two main muscles, I would say two main muscles that connect your forearm to the rest of your arm. One being tricep, one being bicep. If you can have all the cup in the world and you can have, all of that inside strength here, but if you don't have bicep strength, tricep strength, your arm is useless. This whole half of your arm is useless.
yeah, I think most people, especially in arm wrestling, neglect the triceps way too much. They
Mhm.
don't realize that a lot of their pain is coming from the imbalance between all the pulling work and none of the pushing work. And the triceps just help to stabilize your arm, especially in a hook. I think anything that can help strengthen your elbow and stabilize your arm is going to lend tremendously, especially to your longevity. So yeah, it seems like even though you've been in it for a while, you're definitely, you know, pushing the limits on the training and not just sticking to the, old school methods.
Oh yeah. Well, and I feel like it's been so cut and dry forever on this is what you need to do to be a talented arm wrestler. And there are so many people that are getting into the sport and proving people wrong with that. And it's like, you miss every shot that you don't take. That's a real thing. So you have to take that risk and put yourself out there and see, is this training style going to work more than this training style? What's going to improve me on the table where I'm weak? And for the longest time, predominantly, if anybody got me in the hook, I had nothing.
Right.
And so I had to figure out a way to counter that. And now I feel like I've made myself formidable in the hook. So
Oh yeah, I can attest to that. I can attest to that for sure. And with everything you've done so far, what would you say your favorite or biggest accomplishments are?
Uh, biggest and favorite accomplishments. I would say Michigan State was definitely
Oh, just most
uh,
recently?
a good one. Yep. Most recently, Michigan State was a huge accomplishment.
And let everyone know what you did there.
Third left and third right. So I think 16 to 19 people in each class. So not a small
Who finished
class.
ahead of you? Do you remember?
Elijah Ekstrom and Matt Bordone, I think, on one arm, and then Daniel Blanchard and Matt Bordone. Both of those guys they're
Yeah,
no
they're
slouches.
not pushovers.
Those guys are some talented guys. If they do watch this, definitely a shout out. You guys are an inspiration to the sport just because, it shows that you can continue doing this for a while. They've been doing it for quite some time. They've competed, I believe, in world championships, and I think they have both won at least once. So they're two guys.
Oh yeah. And I think in addition to the Michigan State, I think this year, really, I don't know what you have planned. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I think this could be like a really big breakout year for you because, like you said, you filled up those holes that you had in your game. You're going to be a lot more versatile, a lot more dangerous in different areas that maybe you wouldn't be able to fight from. Do you feel like that's the case, or is there just anything that you feel like is holding you back from really going out to the big shows this year?
Not really. I think that again is where time plays in, mainly time frame. I do have a few things that I'd like to do this year for sure. Maybe one's a repeat event. Who knows? I do like the progression that we're having with Magic City Arms and, starting our internal competition. Nicholas and we've impressed ourselves and I think quite a few people as to what can be done within a week and putting
Oh
on a
yeah,
show and putting together. I thought they were really good matchups. I think there was some predictable ones, obviously, and there's always going to be predictable ones. But the whole idea behind that was to, push our internal competition and drive the whole team to that next level. We want to be at that next level. We want to maybe we rematch against Canada and we're a little different this
oh
time.
yeah.
That's the goal. That's the
That's the
goal
goal
with it.
for sure. That's the goal. For anyone that doesn't know, last year we had a big event, Armsgeddon, where we invited one of our good friend clubs up there in Canada to come down and go against our best guys against theirs, and they kind of mopped the floor with us.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then a little bit later, we had Country Folk versus City Slickers, and we got a couple for the Country Folk, but Canada did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the wins. So we definitely feel a fire lit under our butts to not only catch up but surpass them, and yeah, so that's like fun little rivalry going on. But speaking of Magic City Arms, I wanted to ask you about that. So what's the whole idea behind it? What's the mission? Why did you guys decide to give it a start? And what do you want it to ultimately become?
I mean, there's a few. I would say, I guess there's got to be a few designated teams out there, but I don't know if there's ever, I guess there has been, but not quite to the scale that it is right now. I don't think ever been a team of this size, strength, and ability in Montana. I feel like, you know, we're building something that can get people into it. The main goal is, you know, obviously take care of our guys and push ourselves to that higher level, but peak interest in the sport, get it out there. I think the 3-round matches that we put on, they just keep it fast paced and exciting, you know, because these things can drag out. And I mean, we saw Dalton Lawler and Peter Killman go double Kings move the first round.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a long match. And then we watched Tim and Luke
The
battle it
same
out.
week as the King's Move controversy stuff was coming out too, so that was
Exactly.
great.
Exactly. I was like, this is perfect material for that. But I mean, it'd be nice to get this out there. You know, we're in the works with some stuff coming up that's going to be pretty exciting. And, you know, getting some recognition for all of the hard work that our team puts in pretty much on a daily basis. I mean, when I was even 14, 15 years old, I never thought once in my life that I'd walk into arm wrestling practice and see 7 tables there and every single one of them is full. I was used to walking into practice and there's maybe 5 people there and we got 1 table.
Yeah.
So
I always
it's
tell
pretty
people I remember the first couple practices I came to here in Billings, brand new to the sport, and you know, it was like Dan, and then like once a month maybe it was Casey and Clint and Jake. Yeah, and that was basically it. But normally arm wrestling's kind of known as like a 35 plus thing, you know, like in terms of the most of your members or the fans or most of the people that do it are kind of a little bit older, you know.
right.
And so the number of young people that have been showing up interested and mostly sticking around, I would say that we, you know, almost everyone who's come at least once is still there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and the nice part behind that too is, I mean, we're an all-inclusive club. Come and learn from everybody. Everybody there has a different style. Everybody there does things differently, but we all come together and we push to be better as one, and it's all inclusive. So we like that.
Absolutely. I like to feel like we're very welcoming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a brotherhood, I would say. And sisterhood, if you know.
But just to touch on something that I kind of crossed over a little bit earlier, you know, with some of your plans coming up this year, and I feel like the sport growing and a lot of new people coming into it, like we were just talking about, as you get your name out there, why should someone be a fan of the Hitman?
I don't know. It's I don't know. I like to be exciting on the table for sure. I like to bring that energy. I love to win, but I also, you know, I take a learning experience from my losses. I definitely want to, you know, treat every match as if it could be, I guess, my last one on the table. You know, I enjoy arm wrestling through and through, and I enjoy watching it, training, all of it, brotherhood, the friendships that I've made.
And would you say that you've kind of always been the type of person who just, when you dedicate to something, you always kind of see it through? Or was it something that was maybe instilled, you know, in you by someone or a certain moment in life?
Yes. So I would definitely say my parents have played a huge role in the kind of person I am when it comes to being competitive. They've always instilled that in me, and it's something that I'm thankful for. They've given me a very good work ethic. Those times that I wanted to, you know, in
Great people.
preparation for Michigan, there's times where I wanted to stop training, but there was a voice in the back of my head. It's like, if you're not doing that, that somebody else is. So there I am, 3, 4, 5 months in a row in the gym every single day, working to achieve a goal, and I got there and I did it.
Oh yeah, and for those of you guys that don't know, so Hunter's family, they're always at every event, super supportive of everything. And we just had Miles on earlier this week, and he's known as Iron Hand, but Hunter was kind of like the first dominant hand in Montana, or the first people that people knew about the hand. And it's not just him; it runs in the family. If your dad's watching, you know, we can have another hand crushing contest next time we meet.
Yeah.
See who gets it.
I have to
His
tell him
dad,
every
he's
time. I'm like, dude,
crazy
oh,
strong, crazy strong hand. Too bad he doesn't arm wrestle.
I know. I've been trying to get him into it, but I don't know.
Fun stuff. And with this whole year and everything, what do you have coming up? Like, what's on the radar?
So an exciting one that I will be attending will be in March. I will be going down to the IFA North American Championships in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I haven't quite figured out what class I'm competing in because my weight has been fluctuating. I've been sitting around 170, but recently this week I've been right around 159. So I'm right in the middle. I could do 165s. I could do that little bit of a cut, get down to 54. I guess it really depends on what I'm feeling that week. I'm pretty confident I'll do all right in 65s or 54s. So that's going to be one that I'm really
I
interested.
mean, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you to fill out that frame and come up.
I know. Well, and that's going to be my goal for sure. We'll see what I'm feeling around. I don't know, week or so prior. Because I mean, 6 pounds, not a big deal. Get down there, but if not, I'll
For
just
something big like that, it's worth taking a big cut
yeah,
if you can do it. Yeah, it's worth
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And it's gonna be exciting. I heard there's Canada's bringing a team, and all the guys from the West Coast are gonna be there, and
And you have been to IFA Worlds before, right?
I have 2018 in Antalya. That was a killer tournament. That was, can't remember how many days of arm wrestling, just solid. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that. People, all
Crazy.
age groups from all around the world competing. I think there was 40 some
Arm
countries there.
wrestling's huge overseas, man. It's
Oh yeah,
huge.
it's from what I heard, it's a high school sport in some
Yeah.
countries. I mean, it's not like that here.
Some countries pay their arm wrestlers just to arm wrestle.
Yeah,
They give them a living stipend, and that's their job, is just to arm wrestle.
where's that at?
Kazakhstan. Where's Levon and them from? Georgia, right?
Georgia. Yeah,
Yeah,
Georgia.
Georgia. I think they do it too, and yeah, a lot of those like Eastern European or East Asian countries,
Yeah.
they'll sponsor their athletes. They get to live the life, man. They just get to eat, sleep, train, repeat.
Right. Well, yeah,
Um,
exactly. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been on the up and up, rising in popularity in the United States in this sport. Tons of people, new fans watching arm wrestling, following people like the Arm Wrestling Whisper or Kevin Palco. They've both had, I mean, phenomenal success on online platforms promoting themselves. I mean, that's kind of the goal, is to get to that level. I'd like to get to that level with Magic City Arms. We do little fun challenges here and there that I think would be cool. Just kind of make it more of a marketable thing, especially for the area, try and get the team some sponsorships, because I know a lot of the guys around here would like to travel, but don't have quite the resources to do so.
yeah,
And so I feel like it would be nice to be able to land the team a sponsor or two just to help with travel costs, get us somewhere. So that we can show what we got. I mean, that would be nice.
yeah, and people underestimate the costs that go into going out. Like just going to a tournament, where most of them you don't necessarily even make any money, but if you do, it's like maybe $200-300, and sometimes that doesn't even cover gas, let alone lodging, or like I have
Mm.
dogs, so I got to board the dogs, or whatever it is. It costs $1,000 to go to a tournament, because it's over the course of a year, it's a very expensive hobby, very expensive hobby.
Oh yeah, I mean, equipment, and pretty sure every one of us has a gym membership here or there, and that's obviously not a necessity, but the equipment portion, I mean, you talk, the pulley that's behind me there is 150 at minimum, and then your weight stack and all of your different handles and attachments. I mean, one of the handles over there is $250 handle. And it's
Yeah.
not a cheap sport. And then, like you said, traveling. I think, how many times did we go to Great Falls this year? 7? I think 7.
At least Garage Wars, Armsgeddon, Armbend. Was there 2 Armbenders last year, right?
City Folk. There was
Yeah,
City
yeah.
Folk. Garage Wars, if you went up a few times. Yep. Armbender, Armsgeddon. I mean, that practice with Matt Mask. I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we just traveling like that. I mean,
It's thousands of dollars.
thousands
It
of
adds up.
dollars. It adds
Yeah.
up. It adds up. You might look at one trip and you're like, okay, that's doable. And then you're like 5 of those trips down the road and you're like, that was $5,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can be a very, very expensive sport, but it's a lot of fun. I would say I wouldn't trade those experiences at all, but it'd be nice to make
No,
it a little easier to travel, especially for the team.
yeah, once we find a way to really market it and get it out there and help get a little bit more money into it, and again, like there's so many people, like you said, that just they just can't travel, and they're great. They deserve to get their name out there. They deserve to get the recognition, but it's just
Yeah.
not everyone can justify that cost.
Well, and another thing is, we may have a lot of guys in the group, but one thing that I would say is, at a certain point, you're going to know what everybody in the room does. And there's going to be
Yeah.
people out there that don't do the same things. And so if you continue to, rest on your laurels that, okay, maybe I'm the best in the room now, you get out there and there's somebody that does something completely different than what you're used to and you lose. It's because you're not able to travel and take advantage of arm wrestling as many people as possible. Truly, you can get as strong as you want outside the table, but you still need to have that experience on the table. You can get really strong if you can't translate that to the table in any way, shape, or form. Your mind muscle connection, anything like that, if you can't translate that to the table in the form of arm wrestling and live matches and things like that, what's the use after a while? I mean, you hit a plateau and you have to grip up with different hands. Everybody's arm is built different. Everybody's hand is different. The way that everybody arm wrestles is different.
Oh, yeah, every single hand is a new lesson to be learned. You'll never know everything there is to know about arm wrestling.
Yep.
That's for sure.
When I think you watch John Brzenk and he trains, but his training is all on the table, and he goes and he arm wrestled and arm wrestled and arm wrestled and arm wrestled, and that's what makes him the legend that he is to this day because of the amount of times that he's arm wrestled. So you really got to get out there and experience things, which is something that I've learned recently. And you have to travel. Because I mean, going over to Michigan, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. No idea the level of pullers. I could only hear, this, that, and the other thing about these guys. But until you're there and until you're arm wrestling them, it's different. You have no clue what you're getting yourself into until you go to a tournament like that.
Oh, 100%. It's just, I think one of the probably most popular hot words or hot terms in arm wrestling is, practice pulling and tournament completely different. If all you ever did is you could be the best practice puller around, but if you never go to tournaments, you might lose to someone that you didn't even think was possible to.
Oh yeah.
Some people are sleepers where like they just, if it's not a tournament type setting, like they can't turn it up. Like they're not above 80%. They can't do it,
Oh yeah.
And then, there's other people that are the opposite, unfortunately, where the nerves of the tournament gets to be a little bit too much. But either way, both of those are alleviated by experience and just getting out there and, touching as many hands as possible. And
Yep.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that don't give the live goes at practice. There's a lot of people that, you find out later on, like, wow, like this guy can actually top roll really well. I had no clue he could do that, but he found out in a tournament setting. Like, touch back to Aaron Goki and Tim Gives match. I mean, that was surprising when Aaron popped out on that top roll so well.
Yeah.
And was able to get the win on that match. I mean, that was impressive. That was a good win for him. But then, you find
if Aaron
out.
can stay healthy, he's going to have a mean top roll.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you watch those matches and you see, like, it's just, that's a pinpoint example of, okay, this is what I need to work on. And so increasing the level of competition like that, those two right there might have a completely different match on the side table. Aaron might take him in the hook and hold him there, or the other way around. But as soon as that ready go is said, it's a whole different ball game.
Yes. And with all your experience, over the years, what do you think are the biggest mistakes people make, when they're starting out, or even when they're kind of intermediate? Like, what do you see people doing that's just, it?
I would honestly say this is definitely a sport that you have to take your time to excel at. It's not going to come right away. There's tons of I mean, there's tons of people out there that are just abnormally strong, that get into it and they do really well. But the problem is more of a risk of injury than it is of you can't excel to that level. I mean, you can get as strong as you want and you could get really good at arm wrestling, but your risk of injury, I mean, we've seen it happen live.
Yeah.
Arm breaks, newer athlete with an arm break, and I feel like he was pushing himself a little too hard and not giving his body the right amount of time to heal. I mean, it does take some time. You have to have your rest days, and you develop stress fractures in your humerus over time, and if those can't heal, you're risking fracture every time you arm wrestle. Whereas if you hurt it and give it a little bit of time to heal, I mean, that reinforces it every time it heals. So it's more of a risk of injury than it really is, excelling. I think, getting in with a really good group of guys is a big deal as well. And getting in with a group of guys that knows how to keep you safe and in a safe position is going to be really the key to excelling properly at the sport, especially if you're new.
Yeah, I always say that, when people are asking me about it, I say, well, you just kind of have to be prepared that it's not necessarily a sport of training. It's a sport of recovery. The hard part is recovering from everything and still doing enough every week, because when you're in the beginning stage, just going to table time is enough for a while, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months. And then after that, you probably want to start adding in, some outside training. And it's just, you have to prioritize recovery. And that's where your progression comes from, not just always going in and just completely torching yourself in the gym and then torching yourself at table practice. And then you'll notice, like, as time goes on, your gym numbers start dropping or your table performances start, decrease, like you're getting beat by people that, normally you wouldn't have a problem with. And so, yeah, you need to kind of find that fine line of training and recovery that works for you, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of times where, if I go to practice and I'm not fully healed, I'll know relatively quickly that, oh, I'm in pain. And you've seen it many times. I walk around like that and stuff.
T-Rex arms for sure.
Yeah, T-Rex arm. But you gotta, at that point, also listen to your body. If you get super fatigued, stop. If you get a twinge, stop. Because, it definitely can lead to injury, just like, I got really fatigued after Montana State, pulling in the hook at practice for an hour and pop. There goes my ulnar tendon on my right arm. So,
unfortunately, I was kind of there for it.
You felt it. You felt it right afterwards. And that my hand kept rotating inward and my arm went that way.
Yeah. I remember that moment really well. I remember sitting there looking at you like, oh, are you good? Are you sure? Yep. And then we get into that pool and you're, yeah. Yeah. I remember that sound.
Yep. It was not fun. It felt kind of like, it's hard to, I've never been branded, so I don't know what being branded feels like, but it felt like maybe being branded on the back of my hand.
Just like a hot, sharp pain.
Yep. Like fire. That was not fun.
None of those are. Every time you hear a pop in arm wrestling, like it's normal to walk around the gym, like when you're just doing bodybuilding or power, sometimes one will, let out a pop, or you'll be doing a movement in your hip or your shoulder and it kind of feels good and doesn't really bother anyone. But in arm wrestling, I'm pretty sure this is universal to every club. You hear a pop and the whole room goes quiet.
Oh yeah.
Like it could be loud. There could be 15 conversations going on and there's just and then the whole room just stops and just tries to find where it came from and what happened. And I think it's just goes to show how kind of on edge everyone is about it.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you can hear a pin drop. I mean, because how many times this year, two arm breaks, two arm bender.
Oh yeah, the fan, right?
Yep. Arm bender, and then the Little Bighorn Days tournament, those two. And then I think the third one was an arm break scare, but it wasn't actually an arm break. That was Montana State.
Well, I mean, if you count Ben Brooks.
Oh, did Ben break his arm, or was that the inner tendon?
I think it was a tendon. I think it was elbow tendon.
Yeah, right in here, which those pops are very present at practice and very common.
They take longer to heal than bones.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, that's Same with the tendon on the back of my wrist there. It's still not 100%. So it's going to be a little while before I get where I need to be. But
Yeah, it's
taking
best
my
take your
time.
time with it. You got time, plenty of
Yeah,
time.
it's getting strong enough. But, put the brakes on some big guys, and that made me
You
happy.
did. You
And
put the brakes on Chuck.
yeah. Feel like maybe that we'll have to revisit that one about a year from now. But
I know. I wanna pull him, but every time I say I'll pull you in the chat, then he doesn't. Never responds. He responds to everything else, but he never responds when I say, "Oh yeah, I'll pull you, Chuck."
right. I think
Because I know I don't have the offense you have, but I think my defense is better than yours. So after I saw you get those stops, I think I could wear him out and then just pull him over.
Oh yeah, potentially, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's like we've been talking about. You never know until you are in that moment where it's ready to go. He's the same way. And you never can underestimate your opponent either. Usually at practice, like my left-handed match against Sam at practice, 9 times out of 10 could beat Sam, immobilize him center of the table, and manipulate the wrist and hand. But it's different with that ready go. And Sam came to play, and he did damn good. And
he's very good at getting that hook in. Very good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, we got that was quite a hook battle there though. There was some pops going on there. Speaking of pops,
and Sam, if you see this, I want the smoke too. I will take you anytime, any place. You just be there, and I'd love to pull you, both arms.
Yep. No, that would be a good one to watch. That would be a really good one to watch. I'd be excited to see that. I think Sam's got some length in his forearm for sure.
Oh yeah,
you got that bicep. If you're tight in there, dude, it's gonna be a hell of a battle. I would love to see that one.
Yeah, we both want to go the exact same spot, the exact same place. So I think it would definitely be a war for sure.
It's hard to describe. Like, I don't know. I've talked a lot about arm wrestling, and usually people when they arm wrestle, they always try and turn like this, and I'm like, no, it's hard to describe. The kind of force that it is, because it's both pulling and pushing and rotating, and it's a game of chess. Yeah. It's a game of chess. So like I said, I would love to see that match. I think that would be a barn burner for sure. That could be really good. That could go all around. I mean, you never know. That would be very fun and very interesting. I know I think he trains quite a bit with Devin Bear.
Yeah, the Dauntless guys, right?
Dauntless guys, yep. And they're a tough group. We like to have them come up to practice a lot. The more that we
honestly,
see them,
I think if they came up to practice now, I think we've leveled up past them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're a tough crew. I don't think they're
a tough crew, but we've all leveled up.
We've all
I definitely want to see if how that would all go. We need to set that up.
Yeah, that would be fun. We could, I don't know, maybe that's an idea. We get some local or some closer.
Montana versus Wyoming.
We could do that, or we could even maybe venture Montana versus Idaho. Would be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think those Idaho boys got what it takes.
Nah, there's a couple there. We get Alan Fisher over here, maybe. That would be
I'm just egging him on. I saw him in the Through the Fingers podcast, and just giving them back a little bit of some what they were dishing out.
Speaking of that, though, I'm excited to see Dan's match.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good match. It's going to be really interesting to see.
Rising star, RJ Harold, Bulldog, Dan, just experienced and super sticky. And
I just hope it ends up just like my match against Alexander Groot. Is that the same kind of scenario there? That's
kind of how I see it, honestly.
And Groot is a phenomenal arm wrestler, especially for the amount of time that he's been doing it. I mean, 6th at Airs, what was it, 198s?
198s, yeah.
198s, he got 6th place. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. So, yeah. That was a killer match.
Speaking of Airs, they put out those lists, I think, for that 154, 155. You'd probably be able to get in there.
I don't know. I'd have to look because I think
you might be too good
I think
rating wise to do it,
rating
but if some
just
spots
over.
open up and they need someone, they probably would bring you in.
Yeah, I mean that would be a fun one to compete in. I would love to compete in a tournament like that. That's
I
a
think they moved it to Texas.
monumental move. Where is it?
I think they
Texas,
moved it
right?
down to Texas.
Yeah, I like Texas. I like Texas. Texas is a fun place, so I would not be opposed to doing that. That would be very cool.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot tonight and we had a pretty good conversation. Is there anyone you want to shout out or anything you want to say before we close out?
Just all of the guys on the team. Definitely thankful for all of you pushing us to do better, and grateful for the opportunity to, you know, build a team and have phenomenal opportunities thanks to the M spot and even I'm gonna put it out there, and Josh Wilson too with his events that he's putting on. They're phenomenal. We just really want to build this sport to be something more than it is right now. Want to say thank you to my sponsors and thank you to my parents for always supporting me and teaching me how to be a hardworking guy, and that's where we'll put it.
Awesome. Well, it was great hearing from you. And this might not be the last we see of Hunter here. There's some other footage I need to film later this week, and I might just try to recruit him to do it. So might be seeing him on here again. I'd like to know what you guys think down below, and I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. And we will catch you guys next time.